And Britain's most senior officer in Afghanistan says that 2013 is a key year for the campaign in the country. Lieutenant General Nick Carter is Deputy Commander of ISAF and the UK's national contingent commander. Kath Brazier went to ISAF headquarters in Kabul, where she asked him to describe the changes he'd seen since his last tour in Afghanistan.
Well, I think the biggest change was the October 2010 Lisbon summit, which of course set the 2014 deadline for the end of the NATO mission. Because during my time in 2009 and 10, it was very much when massive troop reinforcements were coming in here. We uplifted the Afghan security forces by probably 60 or 70%. And we were determined that we were going to be here for a long time fighting a counterinsurgency campaign. What of course changed in October 2010 with the deadline was that we were in the business of transitioning this as quickly as 4 years allows us to do to Afghans. And of course deadlines have a habit of focusing minds.
What is the plan for 2014 and how do you explain that to the Afghans and give them confidence?
The Afghans are very worried that 2014 will be like a cliff edge. I'm quite sure the economy is going to take a thump because when you withdraw the better part of, well, tens of thousands of international troops, a lot of money will leave the economy. But more importantly, it's about Afghans understanding that actually this period of transition is simply a continuum which will roll forward into what Tokyo described as the decade of transformation. And if they can see it as a continuum, and if they can see that the Tokyo commitments are genuine international community commitments, then I think there's a reasonable chance that their confidence will be retained.
OK, so looking ahead to 2014, obviously 2013, if we look just slightly closer, is going to be the last full year of combat. So how does that change policy looking towards drawdown?
Well, first thing I'd say is that 2013 is the key year. It's the dress rehearsal for 2014. 2014 is a fundamental year in Afghanistan because it's the year when there will be a political transition between President Karzai's government and whatever the successor government will look like. And how that transition occurs, whether the election is credible, and the extent to which we end up with a partner that the Afghans are comfortable with themselves and the international community can work with is critical. It's our goal that by the second half of next year, the Afghans will have the security lead for all of Afghanistan, and we will be here very much in a training, advising and assisting role. So combat operations, yes, up to a point, but we've got quite a well thought through plan that sees us advising at ever increasing levels in the Afghan chain of command during the course of the next 6 to 9 months. So that I would hope that by this sort of time next year, we are having advisors plugged in really at quite a high level, at the brigade level, and working on some of the more esoteric capabilities they need, like artillery and helicopters and medical capabilities and those sorts of things.
Now, with troops due to leave theatre, it seems the insurgents have changed their tactics and we're all now aware of the insider threat. Will this worrying tactic have any impact on the decisions around drawdown?
The straight answer is no, and I think we need to put this in context. I mean, this insider attack threat is the latest mutation of what is a clever insurgency. If you and I were talking 6 to 8 years ago, we'd have been wringing our hands about the IED threat and wondering about how we were going to solve that problem. Now, we haven't solved it completely, but we're much better at it than we were, and we will get much better at dealing with this insider threat as the next year or two develops. I think it is the case that the Afghans understand the seriousness of it as well, because it's ultimately down to their leadership in the way that it will ultimately be solved.